You will trade your soul to become horrifying witch hunters, while other magical girls try to kill you. And the only way to stop them will be by destroying your friends, since you won't be able to trust anyone, including your own reality and timeline. If you watch till the end, I'll show you how to beat the magical girls in Puella Magic Madoka. This girl is about to get all of her high school girlfriends killed and destroy the entire universe. Madoka here goes to school and meets up with her close friends Hitomi and Sayaka Miki as their class welcomes a new student named Homura Akemi. But Madoka has the strangest feeling that she knows her. Homura excuses herself to go to the nurse's office, but since Madoka is the registered helper, she gets called to escort her. On the way, Madoka tries to make conversation, but Homura suddenly confronts her and asks if she considers her life precious. Confused, Madoka says she loves her life, but gets warned that if she tries to become another person, she will lose everything she loves as Homura ditches her. After school, Madoka and her two friends visit the mall, but that's when she hears someone talking to her in her mind, calling for her help. She follows the call to this off-limit area. Seeing this vent open, this creature comes out and begs her to save him. Suddenly, Homura shows up and tells her to get away from this creature, but Madoka defends it just as Sayaka comes in and distracts Homura as they run off. But that's when the world around them starts changing and reality starts to bend. The blonde girl shows up and tells them they're safe and says the creature they rescued is her friend named Kyubey. The strange woman then reveals some unknown powers, whipping out guns and starts busting out sick moves, destroying the monsters and the world around them, bringing them back to their world. Homura catches up, but the blonde girl tells her they don't need to get into this now and asks her to leave. She introduces herself to the girls as Mommy. Kyubey thanks these two and asks them if they want to give up their lives and transform into magical girls.
Okay, Madoka is acting naive as hell, because there are two factors here that make this situation stand out, to do with Homura and facial recognition, that could tell us what's really going on, thanks to something called a neural mechanism and priming stimulus. Neural mechanisms happen when a part of the brain involved in face recognition and memory called the fusiform face area helps us compare the face we see in front of us to stored representations of faces we've seen before in our entire lives. This might make it seem like this person's face we just saw was just a coincidence in similarity. However, noticing Homura the first time becomes more problematic when we also add in something known as priming stimulus. This is when exposure to one stimulus influences the response to another. Like if you have recently thought about someone, this can prime your brain to recognizing them even if you don't remember the initial encounter, and can make you feel like you've met the person before. The moment Homura stepped into class, we thought we met her before, while her face could have just looked similar to someone else. It's possible that our subconscious was thinking about her somehow and made her easier to spot. When you add these two elements to Homura showing up last minute in the basement and trying to kill this creature, along with Mommy acting like Homura is crazy, this basically means either Homura knows something we don't. I mean, Mommy is super dangerous, or Mommy in fact doesn't know what's really going on either and is naive about something. Because remember, we don't know any of these people, so even if they looked cute, logically based on these factors, I wouldn't trust a single one of them, especially after what just happened. Instead, the simplest way to get answers before we make any life-changing decisions would be to put friendly Mommy and crazy Homura into the same room in a crazy place and get them to start talking, clashing opinions and viewpoints first, as this would be the fastest way to tell us what's really going on and could help us know the full risks of becoming magical girls, good and bad. Because again, it doesn't matter how cute anyone looks, we don't know anyone here.
Mommy then takes Madoka and Sayaka to her house to talk about what just happened. Kyubey offers girls with potential the chance to become magical girls, and when the contract is made, a soul gem like Mommy's is created, which is the source of all of their power. Kyubey will grant them any wish they want, but in exchange they will be forced to fight witches. Opposite of magical girls, these creatures are born from curses and cause all the bad disasters to happen around the world, since they hide in labyrinths that bend space and time. No humans know about them. Mommy warns them to be careful because being a magical girl is also extremely dangerous, and offers to take them on some witch hunts so they can get a feel for the job. And until then, her and Kyubey will watch over them in class, since she happens to go to their school too, and no normal humans can see Kyubey anyways. They worry about a new girl, Homura, but Mommy says she's not evil and is just a grumpy magical girl too, since when you defeat a witch, you acquire rewards that other magical girls try to fight you for. The next day, the two go to class, acting ordinary as usual, while Homura catches up to them, pissed as hell. She says she was supposed to kill Kyubey yesterday and warns Madoka not to listen to them. Madoka asks her what she wished for to become a magical girl, but she ignores her. That night, Mommy takes them on a witch hunt, arming them with some weapons as they go on patrol, tracking the witches with Mommy's soul gem. But that's when they come across this person in the distance, about to kick the bucket. Mommy quickly reacts and saves her, seeing the mark of a witch's kiss on her neck. She rushes in with these two to find the witch. Entering this new labyrinth, Mommy then counters various witch attacks, running into the center of the labyrinth and the dangerous witch. She leaves the girls behind and somehow summons several one-shot guns at the enemy. It tries to counter and nearly kills her, but gets defeated with her giant gun, winning the match in style. The labyrinth disappears, and Mommy finds the witch's egg it left behind. She says they'll find one after every battle, and they can use it to restore their depleted magic and clean their soul gem from impurities. She then senses Homura watching them in the shadows like a creep and tells her to leave. She goes back to rescue the victim from earlier, wiping her memory of what happened and looking like a hero. Seeing all this, Madoka gets inspired to be just like Mommy and decides she wants to become a magical girl too. Mommy takes them on many more witch hunts, this time finding a familiar instead, deadly servants that act without their master. They don't carry any grief seeds, but will one day turn into witches if they aren't stopped. Madoka asks Mommy what her wish was, but she tells them her wish came from being in a car accident, so she didn't have much of a choice. That's why these girls should take their time to think about their ultimate wish. Sayaka asks if she can make a wish on some sick boy she likes in order to make him feel better, but Mommy warns her any wish must come from a pure motive and to do it because she wants to, otherwise the boy might feel like he owes her for life. Madoka gets thinking on what she wants, since she feels so useless in everything. Kyubey also secretly tells her that she has enormous potential and will become more powerful than anyone she knows if she becomes a magical girl. That night, Homura tracks down Mommy and blames her for leading innocent people to danger. Mommy reveals she also sees Madoka's potential and thinks Homura is just jealous of her. Homura tells her she doesn't understand what's really going on, but Mommy warns her the next time they meet, she will take her on. The next morning, Madoka spots a grief seed growing in the wall about to hatch. Sayaka tells her to run and get Mommy with Kyubey, while she goes in to try and stop it or else they might lose track of it forever. But Kyubey offers to stay with Sayaka as Madoka rushes to get help. Kyubey gets pushy and says she can turn into a magical girl whenever she wants, but she tells him to chill out. Outside, Madoka rushes back with Mommy. She gets told by Kyubey to come in quietly so she doesn't disturb the egg from hatching, but Homura shows up saying she's hunting this prey too. She offers to take Madoka and Sayaka out safely, but Mommy doesn't trust her and ties her up. She begs Mommy to listen, warning her this witch is deadlier than she thinks, but Mommy doesn't listen. Heading further in, Madoka tells Mommy that since she is weak and sucks balls at everything in life, she wants to help out people like her and has chosen to become a magical girl. Mommy starts crying and is happy there is someone willing to fight by her side, and they'll turn her into one after this battle. Suddenly they get alerted by Kyubey that the witch egg is about to hatch and Mommy should hurry, transforming into Holy Mommy. She rushes to the center of the labyrinth, encountering enemies on the way. She spots Sayaka and Kyubey. The egg is about to hatch, so she knocks the witch over and shoots it in the head, deploying more one-gun shots. She turns her neck ribbon into a giant gun, blasting the witch, but it bursts out of its shell last minute and catches her off guard last minute, decapitating her head clean off. Her death also releases her magic on Homura, and she knows what has just happened. Her warm corpse drops to the floor as Sayaka and Madoka watch their master get feasted on. Kyubey tells the girls they should become magical girls quickly, but Homura shows up and tells them there's no need. Facing off against the witch, it tries to give her oral, but she counters by literally exploding from within, killing it dead and winning the battle. She tells Madoka and Sayaka to never forget what happened here and says this is the realities of being a magical girl, collecting the witch egg. Sayaka tells her to give it back to Mommy, but she says nah, walking away, leaving the girls in despair, and Kyubey is just chilling as usual. Mommy here was dumb as hell and should have seen her end coming, even before the witch hunt, as this was evident during 3 key points that displayed how out of whack her ego was, which led to her demise. Unlike the other magic hunts, Mommy was so confident in her abilities, she chose to bring in Madoka yet again, when she should have left her outside, since she was practically in this much more dangerous situation. While you could argue that Madoka's ability to instantly become a magical girl could have served them as a backup, in reality her weak and confused mind means that she likely would have been unable to think and would have hesitated in a moment of danger, meaning even if she was offered the chance to save Mommy right before her death by turning into a magical girl, the high stress of the given situation would have actually caused her to not be able to function thinking, stopping her from thinking clearly, let alone making any decisions like turning into a magical girl, making Mommy's decision to bring her in at all dumb as hell. Mommy's ego also caused her to refuse Homura's help when she'd offered it within the labyrinth, which made no sense since she was the only trained fighter in there, and there were already 2 innocent hostages that they had to account for, so even having extra hands to help with the rescue would have been smarter anyways. Finally, her final mistake, which caused by her big head, was that she went against one of the most important rules of warfare, which involved being adaptable, flexible, and unpredictable. It's noted that the first time we saw her in action, she used the same tactics and weapons as she did the last time to fight this witch, which made her predictable and allowed the enemy to easily counter and anticipate her moves like it clearly did. While sweet, Mommy was about the dumbest magical girl I've ever seen, as her ego had her assume that everything was gonna work out as smooth as last time. The next day, Madoka and Sayaka are recovering from the shock of Mommy's death. Kyubey tells them since Mommy is gone, it won't be long until a new magical girl arrives to pick up the hunt. The girls realize that magical girls are selfish and only hunt for their own benefit. Because of this, Madoka is now too scared to become a magical girl, not sticking around for their BS. Kyubey then leaves, but tells them to call him if they change their mind. She goes to visit Mommy's house, but runs into Homura after, who tells her it's not her fault. Madoka says she's accepted her warning. Homura has watched many magical girls die and tells her what life is really like. Because Mommy died in the labyrinth, her body will never be recovered and no one will ever know where she went. That night, Madoka spots her classmate Hitomi, but realizes she's been marked like that girl Mommy once stopped from kicking the bucket. Hitomi tells her that they're all going on a wonderful journey as more zombie-like victims show up. Not having Homura's number, she's forced to try and save her friend. Following this group to this warehouse, and they all prepare to kick the bucket, creating this liquid poison. But Madoka stops them, pissing these zombies off as they try to swarm her, forcing her to hide in this locked room. But that's when she gets transported into a labyrinth and is about to be split apart by demons when a new magical girl rushes in to save her, and Madoka realizes it's Sayaka. She wished for her friend to recover from his sickness, hoping to one day get with him like an idiot. It's not important. And she begins taking out the witch and its assistants, leaving corpses everywhere. Homura then shows up pissed as hell and asks her how could she do this. After, Hitomi and all the victims are rescued having no memory of what happened, while Madoka feels super scared for Sayaka, but she tells her that she regrets nothing and is happy she didn't lose her friends. Madoka considers talking to Homura and asks if she can become friends with Sayaka to watch over her, but she tells her that Sayaka made a mistake and no one will be able to stop her upcoming death. Now worried, Madoka decides to go and help Sayaka on her first official witch hunt. But Sayaka is happy to bring her along because if they get into trouble, then Madoka will be able to turn into a magical girl too, as Kyubey says that he'll always be able to grant her wish, like a creep. Hitting the streets, Sayaka tracks down the spot of a familiar instead of a witch, as she transforms battle ready, sensing the familiar is near. Just as they run into the new magical girl in town, Kyoko Sakura, she instantly removes the labyrinth to confront Sayaka. She tries to go after the familiar, but Kyoko stops her, saying since familiars don't carry grief seeds, they should just wait until it becomes a full witch. Sayaka tells her it will kill innocents before that happens, but Kyoko doesn't care and is only in this for herself. Pissing Sayaka off, she draws swords and attacks, but is easily outmatched, while Madoka watches her best friend get overwhelmed and about to die. Kyubey tells her she can stop this right now with his help, wink wink. About to make a wish, Homura shows up last minute again to save them, saving Madoka from making the biggest mistake of her life. She stops Sayaka from attacking and tells Kyoko this fight is over, warning Madoka if she doesn't listen to her, she will take more drastic measures. Kyubey tells Madoka that she's planning something. Homura catches up to Kyoko and offers her the city, while she takes care of Sayaka under one condition. In 2 weeks, a powerful witch will arrive, and they will need to team up to beat it or else, making a temporary alliance. Elsewhere, Sayaka realizes her soul gem is not pure anymore. Kyubey tells her if it's too impure, a witch could hatch from it, so they need to collect more grief seeds to purify it. And if she collects enough, she'll be able to use as much magic as she wants. Sayaka also finds out that Madoka has crazy magic potential and is even stronger than Mommy, but she tells him to stop with the hints because she's not dragging Madoka into this. She gets ready to head off for another witch hunt, but finds Madoka waiting outside, saying she's worried that Sayaka will run into Kyoko again and thinks they should try to make friends. But Sayaka is too hot-headed to listen. Magical girls don't care about listening to anybody, leaving Madoka sad. Kyubey warns Madoka that Sayaka is acting recklessly and doesn't have a chance against Kyoko or Homura. Sayaka decides to make a detour and check on the boy she likes, but spots Kyoko waiting for her. She's mad that Sayaka wasted her wish on something so stupid and says there are other ways to make boys fall in love with her, pissing her off. Sayaka challenges her to a death match right now. They prepare to fight in a more quiet area, but Madoka shows up, telling her Kyubey alerted her of what was going on. Sayaka begins battling Kyoko just as Homura shows up and tells Madoka they had a deal. Pissed off, she tries to stop the battle, but Sayaka tries to fight her too. Madoka loses her last straw. It snatches Sayaka's soul gem, throwing it off the bridge onto a passing truck, shocking Homura and Kyubey, while Kyoko remains confused as Madoka sees Sayaka's soulless body collapse to the floor, cold as ice. Homura rushes to go collect her soul gem before it's too late. Okay, we couldn't beat Kyoko head on. I still would have destroyed her by aiming for the same thing that took out Mommy, her big fat ego, like duh. As part of the bigger picture, up until this point, for a bunch of magical girls, no one has bothered to look into anything they're actually doing. The soul gem is a critical component of their power, and this means that just like taking out the battery of a powerful evil robot, if I was them, I would have looked into defeating Kyoko by targeting the source of our power, rather than fighting power with power, since this would have been way sneakier, and we still could have won despite being weaker. Unable to fight fight her head on if I would have relied on something known as asymmetric warfare. This is when a war occurs between forces that drastically differ in power, and is a tactic that could have put Madoka's uselessness to work for us. Kyoko was obviously stronger and cockier than us, which means she would have been already underestimating our threat, which we could have used, like by picking a location to fight that we surveyed beforehand, and even set up dirty traps in, as well as figuring out the full extent of her powers through Kyubey, or by telling her before actually challenging her to the official fight. However, even if we somehow found ourselves caught in the middle of a battle on this bridge, in order to beat Kyoko, I would have used Madoka's useless butt as a distraction, using Kyoko's power of creating defensive barriers against her. Right before the fight on the bridge, I would have signaled for Madoka to piss her off until we gave her the signal, carrying on with the fight against Kyoko as planned. Instead, played it sneaky, relying mainly on the defensive and accommodating her advances. This would have given her the illusion that she was winning and would have continued to predictably push as we secretly led her off of the main area of the bridge, distracted, cocky, and confident that she was about to destroy us and off the bridge. This is when I would have signaled for Madoka to come up from behind Kyoko, acting as a distraction. Whether or not Madoka did anything to harm her or not wouldn't have been the issue, because at such close range, we would have been able to strike at a distance that was too close for her magic shield to defend at all. And us hyping her up until this point means her ego would have been in full control, and she never would have seen this coming, and we could have won the battle. Sayaka's heart has stopped beating and has no pulse. Kyubey asks Madoka how she could be so cruel, because there is a limit to how far a magical girl can part from her soul gem, and reveals that the moment they all got turned into magical girls, he stripped their souls from their body and put it into their gems, as this would allow their body to heal and keep functioning, even if it got damaged, as long as their gem wasn't destroyed. And they're basically walking human shells. But she casually forgot to mention this. Kyoko is shocked at the news, but Kyubey doesn't understand why humans care where their souls are housed in. Suddenly, Homura returns with Sayaka's soul gem, placing it back in her hand as she wakes up. She later gets annoyed at Kyubey for lying to her, but Kyubey tells her their souls not being attached to their body allows them to not feel pain in battle, because they would suck at fighting otherwise. She lets Sayaka feel real combat pain, teaching her a lesson. The next day, Kyoko visits Sayaka to discuss what Kyubey told them, going for a walk to her family's church. She basically gives her whole sob backstory about how she used her wish on her religious family, but they ended up hating her and kicked the bucket anyways, and this is why she only uses magic on herself. She wants her to stop whining and live her best life, but she thinks they are similar, but Sayaka says nope, and she does not have regrets about wasting her magic on a boy, and will now try to use her magic to help people, unlike Kyoko. But her day of feeling good is cut short when Hitomi stops by to talk to her and ruin her life, saying she has a crush on her crush, but Sayaka underplays her feelings and says they're just close friends. Being a good friend herself, Hitomi gives Sayaka 24 hours to stop her if she changes her mind, making her confused on what to do. That night, she goes on another witch hunt and runs into Madoka wanting to join her again, but this time she is annoyed at her for always being so nice and tells her that she now regrets saving Hitomi and feels bad about it. Sayaka thinks she can't be with her crush because she's already dead, and now Hitomi will steal him away. Madoka tries to cheer her up and follows her along with her to the next witch battle. Homura keeps watch over them in the distance, while Sayaka charges into another witch battle. She struggles to go apeshit initially, nearly dying and getting saved by Kyoko, but at the last minute, something changes inside of her. She decides to handle the witch herself, unleashing a new type of dark power. She completely destroys the witch, telling the others that she doesn't feel pain anymore, acting like a psycho. She's now figured out how to shut off the pain and emotions. Winning the fight and picking up the grief seed, she gives it to Kyoko instead. Since they are now even, she takes Madoka and heads out, confessing to her that she now officially has given up on this life since no one can help her and is too miserable. Madoka offers to help, but Sayaka tells her she should fight for a change. Kyubey tells her how powerful Madoka could be, and Sayaka ends up getting mad at Madoka for not giving up her humanity to fight too, ditching her. The next day, Homura catches Sayaka watching Hitomi and her crush. She says Kyubey has updated her, and Kyoko that Sayaka is not well, and offers her this grief seed to heal. If she doesn't cleanse her soul soon, she will die. But Sayaka refuses, doesn't care about anything, pissing Homura off because she is harming Madoka. And just then Kyoko shows up to stop her, forcing Sayaka to run away. Hopping on this train, she encounters some douchebags bad-mouthing their girlfriends. She gets annoyed at humanity and thinks humans aren't worth protecting, causing her to transform into a mini monster. Elsewhere, Madoka searches for Sayaka while Kyubey shows up. Desperate, she asks him, since her magic potential is strong, if this means she could use her magic to turn Sayaka back into a human. Kyubey tells her with her potential, she could basically become a god into whatever she wants, and doesn't understand why she was chosen in the first place, wanting to help her friend. She gets ready to become a magical girl, but Kyubey gets blasted into pieces by none other than than Homura. Getting mad at her for being so stupid, suddenly Madoka has a memory that this incident has happened before, but focuses back up and insists on saving Sayaka. Homura gets sad she won't listen as Kyubey reappears, eating his old corpse, and he now can finally sense this is the second time Homura has killed him, and reveals he knows her power is time manipulation, and that she's not from this timeline, just as he suspected. Homura vows to stop Kyubey's plans, revealing his real name is Incubator. Meanwhile, Kyoko finds Sayaka at this train station holding her soul gem. A tear drops on it, causing an explosion, turning Sayaka into a witch. Kyoko tries to go save her, seeing this terrifying witch in her place. Homura finally shows up to help, warning her to not let go or else they'll be frozen in time, and says they need to retreat for now, exiting the labyrinth. Madoka finally catches up and sees the bad news. Homura tells them that when their gems get too tainted, they turn into witches, and this is the destiny of all magical girls. These two get ordered to dispose of Sayaka's shell body, while Madoka goes home after to cry like a baby. Kyubey later pays her a visit and says everything they've done is to prolong life in the universe. He basically reveals that long ago the universe was running out of power, but they found a way to stop it using energy harvested from emotions. However, since they don't have any, they set out to find other civilizations to harvest power from, and discovered that high school girls had the most emotions. So they basically tricked them into becoming magical girls just so Kyubey could go and collect the energy blast from their soul gems each time they kicked the bucket. He's basically a magical girl farmer. Madoka's reality breaks, but Kyubey thinks it's logical, just like how humans harvest animals for food. It's no different to him. He tells her to call him if she ever wants to sacrifice herself for the universe, and he leaves. Madoka tries to go back to school and learn something for once when Kyoko calls her to meet, saying Kyubey told her there might be a 5% chance they can save Sayaka, since he doesn't know the full extent of their power. So these two stupidly agree to team up and save her. Madoka considers inviting Homura, but Kyoko tells her they won't help since they are preparing for a powerful witch that will soon arrive in town. They both rush to go save their friend with no good plan, tracing Sayaka's witch to this labyrinth. They head on inside, but the escape door instantly closes. They realize that the witch knows they're here. Heading deeper in, Madoka spots Sayaka's witch and tries to get through to her while Kyoko defends them, but she quickly gets overwhelmed and knocked out. The witch grabs Madoka as the floor level breaks below them. The shock from it all causes her to pass out, helpless as usual, as Homura shows up again to save her. Now all screwed, Kyoko tells Homura to get Madoka out while she covers for them, forcing these two out. Kyoko, now alone, tells Sayaka that she isn't alone as the area around them blows up. Homura and Madoka escape, but Kyubey tells them that he said there was like a 5% chance Kyoko could have saved her, and it's not his fault she's so dumb, and he basically played them. With Kyoko dead, Homura has now lost a partner against their upcoming witch fight, and she can't do it alone. If Madoka wants to protect Homura and her city, she'll have to become a magical girl too, but Homura insists that won't happen. That night, Homura prepares for the final fight of her life as Kyubey pays her a visit. He now knows who she is and knows why Madoka is so powerful. Basically, in Homura's original timeline, Madoka was already a magical girl when she met her, but Homura became a magical girl in order to save her. Receiving the power of time travel, she went back in time, but eventually found out that Kyubey tricked them into becoming witches and dying this whole time. However, at the last minute, Homura was saved and got ordered by Madoka to save her past self and save the world, because Homura has tried to save Madoka so many times. All the timelines have now been connected to this one, and Homura has now basically caused Madoka to become the strongest magical girl in the universe, shocking her. Okay, while Kyubey might seem like a piece of shit, his actions could have actually prevented a terrifying future where the universe ends and all life dies. That's not that bad of a plan, because of something known as heat death, or entropy. According to science, the more a universe is expanding out, the more disordered everything gets. It's known as entropy. If I left a hot cup of cocoa in a cold room, over time the cocoa would shrink and cool down until it became the same temperature as the room. That is what's happening in the universe. Eventually, all the energy will spread out evenly, and there won't be anything left to keep things alive, as the universe will experience a heat death, and how humanity will actually experience this is pretty scary. Billions of years before the end, humans will start to noticing the universe getting colder and darker, stars will stop forming, and the new ones we have will all die out, telling all of humanity that the end is officially coming. As people try to understand what's going on, the world will start to panic. Some will try to fix it, and others will accept we can do nothing, causing fights and wars worldwide because of this in the millions and hundreds of thousands of years leading up to the event. In the final few thousand years, the galaxies will drift further and further apart, and people will begin to turn their focus inward, as people will focus on preserving their knowledge and culture. But as the stars and heat die out, resources will run out, and the last humans will struggle to survive, dying from a lack of food, warmth, and light.
painful death.
So when you put it that way, I actually totally support Kyubey and am now his #1 fan. Kyubey says their wishes screwed them. It's not part of the natural outcome, and therefore this difference will eventually correct itself, breaking her mind. Later, Madoka returns home having lost almost all of her friends. Annoying Kyubey pays her a visit next and tells her that his species have been making deals with humans since the beginning of time, and if it wasn't for them, humans would still be living in caves, breaking poor little Madoka's mind even more. She rushes to Homura and says Kyoko mentioned a powerful witch is coming and offers her help. But that's when Homura breaks down and reveals that she's from another timeline and has watched Madoka already die many times. Homura begs to let her keep her safe, explaining that her wish when she turned into a witch was to save Madoka this whole time. Madoka heads home as confused as ever, just as the skies in the city darken. Everyone thinks a violent storm is coming, so a city evacuation is announced, excluding Madoka's family head to makeshift shelters to wait it out. There, Madoka can tell the witch has arrived and asks Kyubey about the situation. He tells her that Homura can't stop the witch. This was always meant to happen in every timeline, and her fate has already been decided. Deciding to fight one last time, Madoka sneaks out into the room, but sees Homura already about to be defeated, just as Kyubey predicted. However, Madoka tells Homura that she's done enough and she will face the witch herself. Madoka then pulls out a reverse Uno card, wishing that all witches were erased before they were born from the past, present, and future. This wish unravels the fabric of time, violating the laws of karmic destiny, turning all witches still alive back into humans. But the wish causes Madoka's existence to be erased from reality, leaving only Homura to remember her. Before going, she assures her that she is not dead and is now basically a god. She thanks her and says this is for the best. Homura later wakes up in a new world where instead of witches, magical girls fight something known as wraiths instead. But now when a magical girl finally gives in to sadness, it will disappear from the earth and meet Madoka in the next world, who also doesn't remember Madoka and tells him of the previous world they fought in and vows to protect this world in honor of Madoka. But what do you guys think about the video? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a thumbs up down below. And as always, don't forget to check out our How to Be playlist.